So many pills, I should have slipped already. Yeah. My lungs the same color as my lips already. Expensive clothes, insufficient funds. Me and my bros switching hoes just for fun.
What's good, man? It's Western Groove. So this man, Mikey Garcia, he said no credit. No credit, man. Lomachenko's doing what I did years ago. Now, I know some people may be confused by that because Lomachenko has like 8 or 9 fights and Mikey Garcia is at like 30-something fights. But you see, the difference is that what most fighters do is once they're around that 18 mark, you know, they usually have an Olympics somewhere around there and they go for the Olympics. And whether they make it or they don't make it, they then turn pro after that. Lomachenko waited a whole nother 4 years to go back to the Olympics again. And then after he went back, he then turned pro. So that's how come Lomachenko kind of seemed to came out and started early. It was that he has more experience because he did a whole extra 4 years in the amateurs, a whole nother tournament or whatever the fuck for the Olympics. So Bob Arum said, of course, I would do that fight. The past is the past. I would agree with Vasil that Garcia Lomachenko would be a very good fight. That Garcia is one of the few fighters around who would even be a test for Lomachenko. So of course I would be happy to do that fight. One thing, you don't stay in this business for 51 years and keep grudges. So then Garcia went on to say, you know, he got beat by an experienced, rugged fighter in Salido. After that, he has improved a lot. He has a lot of credibility. But even at that, he's only doing the stuff that I already did 3, 4 years ago. He couldn't beat Salido, who I completely dominated. He wins his second world title, a title I vacated that ends up going back to Rocky Martinez, the guy who I had previously knocked out. Then Vasil Lomachenko knocks him out, and all of a sudden, he's the greatest star because of victories that I already accomplished. Well, I don't give him credit for that. I mean, at the end of the day, I like this. I think that this builds up. See, the Lomachenko versus Mikey Garcia fight will never be Mayweather Pacquiao. You know what I mean? It'll never be Triple G Canelo, and it's just because of their size. You know, it'll be like at 130, 135 or whatever. But this is gonna build this fight up. This is gonna build it up where Mikey Garcia, he's kind of been around, and I guess in a way you could say he's more proven, especially at 135 when he, you know, collects more belts. We can say he's more proven at 135, and then Lomachenko's gonna move up and is gonna have to really test his skills. That's gonna be probably the first person Lomachenko faces who, as a boxing community, I feel like it'll be a 50-50 fight. I'm not going to say we're going to favor one or the other, but it'll be a 50-50 fight. And that'll be the first one with Lomachenko. Like, people were picking Walters, but it wasn't a 50-50 type of fight. You know, but I agree with Mikey Garcia to a point. Like, I mean, it's obvious that Lomachenko is good. You know, same thing with Triple G, Kovalev. You know, it's obvious that these guys are good, but there's a contingency of people who like to call these guys like the greatest, the best, top 25 in the last 25 and all of this kind of shit. But these guys haven't faced and beaten other pound for pound fighters. You know what I mean? Lomachenko didn't face a pound. He hasn't faced and beat a pound for pound fighter. Kovalev, when he did face a pound for pound fighter, he lost. Now, I think Kovalev won that fight by 1 point. I think it was 6-6. Kovalev won from the knockdown. That's me personally, but they gave Andre Ward the decision. So me having to close that fight, I can't see it as me having to fight that close. I can't see it as a robbery. So, you know, he got his chance and he should have knocked Ward out, and he didn't do that. He let Ward stick around after knocking him down, and Ward got the close decision. You know, so other than Ward, Kovalev hasn't fought any pound for pound fighters. You know, while he fights them, you know, you have to fight a pound for pound while he's pound for pound. Kovalev has and lost. Triple G hasn't done that. Uh, Triple G finally got a fight against a decent opponent, and it looked kind of different. I'm gonna make a video about that. Uh, Lomachenko, he looks to be the goods, but again, he hasn't faced a pound for pound opponent. You know, but I mean, but at the same time, who's to say that Mikey Garcia is that opponent? That Mikey Garcia is a pound for pound opponent? I feel as if we also still need to see Mikey Garcia when he's from his comeback, because we see him against what was his name? Something Elijah Rojas or something, and Mikey Garcia looked kind of in that fight. Then we see him in his last fight, and he knocked dude out, and he looked good in that fight. But you got to also check and peep who he was fighting, and not necessarily if the guy was world class or not, but his skill set, because beating that guy, knocking him out, is a completely different thing from beating and knocking out Lomachenko. Lomachenko has a completely different skill set, and as we all know in boxing, styles make fights. So that's a fight that I really want to see. I hope that fight ends up being like a end of the year type of fight. We let these guys get another fight or two in, and at the end of the year, beginning of 2018, we can get this fight. And you know, maybe if Bob Arum and what's his name and Al Heyman can like really come together, we can get like a huge fucking card with like we can get the Keith Thurman, Errol Spence with the Lomachenko, Mikey Garcia on the undercard. Something like that would be crazy, and no pay-per-view, you know. Put that shit back on Channel 5. You feel me? It like that's the kind of shit that boxing needs, you know. So it's Western Groove, and I'm out.